And that now I gotta ask you about I believe this is your latest project, the Block Party.
Block Party, yes,
Yeah, let's talk
yes,
about it.
yes. Block
BET.
Party, man. And what it was, because it wasn't a BET original. My agent called me about the project, and I had just finished another film that was just a nightmare, and they called me about it, and I said no, and then he said, no, Marvin, they really want you. I said, okay. It was shooting in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is 3 hours from my house. So I go up to Grand Rapids, and I meet the producers, and they are just wonderful people. Not only are they wonderful people, but the core, which is three black women, they raised $7 million to make this film. They did what
Wow.
I can't do. They raised seven
Wow.
million, and I was totally impressed with them. And then when I looked at the cast of icons, from Margaret Avery to John Amos, to
The Lunel.
Lou Nail, and I'm telling you, I'm like, I've gotta do this picture. I've got to do this picture. And we had a blast doing it. We had a blast. And I got close with the producers to the point that we became very, very close friends. And I'm working on some projects with them now. Matter of fact, before the writer strike, I was in Toronto because I'm directing a movie, and because of them, uh, they're just the film came out excellent. It really came out excellent. And when we wrapped the film, they asked me if I could stay on through pre-production. I mean, through post-production. I'm like, what? I said, no, no, we value your opinion, so we would like to stay with. We'd like you to stay and become part of our group. These black women, Branch Out Films. That's they're based out of Grand Rapids, but they all live in LA. Yeah. And like I said, the working with those icons, and it's funny because I had something in common with pretty much all of them because Fred knew all of them. So
Wow.
it was all these conversations with them. Uh, the Hammer I just got off the phone with the Hammer. He said hello. And then them telling me stories about Fred. So it was great to be able to work with those icons, and younger actors too, because one of the young ladies is, oh God, stuff is starting to run into it. She's one of the stars of the TV series on Showtime, The Shy.
Okay.
Um, so and one of the young men, he was in um, the not it's not the Karate Kid. It was another one of those. But it's interesting. It's interesting to go from being the youngest person on a film to one of the oldest. Yeah.
Yeah.
To
That's a
I did the
blessing.
picture, and my daughter would know the guy's name with the series that uh, he played Ghost on.
What was the name? Amari.
Omari. Omari
Yeah.
Hardwick. I'm working with Omari, and Omari said, "Towns, man, you one of the OGs. You a legend." I'm like, Omari, shut up.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal actor, man. That
Thank you.
power, that was raw,
Yes,
man.
oh, Omari. Yeah,
He
so
did that.
I had a blast with him. I had a blast with him. And when you're just living your life, especially away from Hollywood, you don't know who knows you or who's paid attention or anything. I tell people I'm just as good as my last paycheck. So
I could dig it, but you still doing some phenomenal work. Let me see. Now I wanted to ask you about this. You had kind of mentioned it earlier about like apprenticeships or internships. Do you have any of those available for people that want to kind
yes,
of try to,
yes,
you
we do.
know?
Yes, we do through Branch Out Films. And as soon as this strike thing, because we used them on Block Party, and we were going to use them, the film that we have on hold right now, it's called Eminent Domain. And Branch Out Films, they are big proponents of internships, for people that look like us to bring them to the film industry. So as soon as this whole strike thing figures itself out, the answer is a definite, definite.
Okay, I might see you my resume, man. I'm trying to
Yes,
get in
please
there.
do. Please
Okay,
do.
okay. Yeah, I email it to you. Now let me see. You done went through so much history. You done seen so much. You done experienced, traveled the world, shot films, met people. Have you ever thought about doing a book or some type of film or project in relation to your career and what you have accomplished?
My wife has been saying, I can't tell you for how I listen. Yeah, so I wrote it ended up being like 10 pages about my life with Ali because I figured I need to write it down, otherwise I'm going to forget it. And my wife has been egging me on for years to do it. So I wrote it, and recently I let a couple of people read it, and one producer said, "I want to option this. This has to be. It's called Muhammad Ali and Me. This has to be. This is a movie. This is a movie." And there is an Apple TV series that's on hold right now, and it's about Ali.
Mm-hmm.
And as it turns out, one of the writers of that is married to a friend of mine who was one of the producers on Block Party. So
Wow.
she's actually from Michigan. His name is Gabe Roth. He's the brother of Eli Roth, the director, and they're also Quentin Tarantino's partners.
Okay.
Well, they came and they hung out at our house one Saturday when they were in town. And I sent Katie the story, and she sent me this long email saying, "Wow." Because I told her, I said, "Katie, I know you're doing this series about Ali." And she told me who her consultants were and all that. And I told her, I says, "I knew there's a period of Ali's life that I knew everything happening in his life. I saw
Wow.
firsthand. And I can tell you who's good, who's bad, who's this, who's that." And I said, and so, and she read it. She says, "Marvin, this is a perspective that none of us that are working on this project have seen. That this is amazing. As soon as the strike is over, we need to talk to you more about that." So I tell my daughter if she's interested, if I don't. I'm a car fanatic. I care about playing with cars.
Right, right. I can dig it. But I mean that's phenomenal because like I think it was a movie about Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, and Malcolm X or something. They was only together for a weekend, so you
That
spent.
was it was one I forget her name who directed that film. I sent her a letter through her agent because I knew Jim Brown, I knew Muhammad, Jim, Muhammad, and Malcolm X. I
Oh
didn't know
wow,
Malcolm, but I was around the Nation of Islam because of Muhammad Ali. So I knew the Nation of Islam very well, and the neighborhood I grew up with. I mean, I knew the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I grew up with his grandsons.
wow,
So I knew a lot about that. So that movie, I told her in my note to her, was the best depiction of those three men who I knew. Two I knew well, and one I knew a lot about that I'd ever seen. One Night in Miami is the name of the movie. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, that was great. So you got more than one night. You got a whole, you know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, I
So I
had
could just
years. I got
imagine.
a decade
Yeah.
out of that. My relationship with him, yeah, a good decade out of it. And like I said,
Wow.
when Jim Brown just passed, maybe less than a
Hmm.
year ago, and I think I did three movies with Jim. And
Oh man.
Jim was nuts.
Yeah, I met Jim Brown, man. I mean, even I met him maybe like 2019. You know, you see people on TV, but then when you meet him in person, he still had that presence, that strength that we always idolized and respected about him. You know, as a strong black man, an
Yes,
athlete.
yes. Jim Brown was definitely an interesting guy.